This is the extratime.com Monday podcast. I'm Oisin Langan.
Nobody believed that we could do today, but we believe we could. And now we're going home with the Brendan Martin Cup. On Fiaboo!
In their first year back at senior grade, Meath have won the All-Ireland title. We'll have more on that later.
Well, if you create a number of chances that we did, you can't sort of blame it on the formation. So I wouldn't be critical of any of the players, really.
We'll have more on that with former Ireland international Joe Campbell, who looks back on the 1-1 draw with Azerbaijan and previews the Serbia clash on Tuesday at the Aviva. Seamus Coleman ruled out of that game through injury, so Cyrus Christie has been called up.
She's still undefeated and still the undisputed lightweight champion of the world, Katie Taylor.
Not a classic performance by Katie Taylor by her own admission over the weekend, but she did enough to win.
Every fight is a tough fight at this level. I know that Jennifer was going to be a big challenge. I was hoping for a stoppage tonight, but she was very good at surviving for the whole fight. She was fairly crafty in there herself, very slippery. But 100 points, 89 shutout. It can't get much better than that.
Taylor speaking to The Zone. Now, the super fight between Taylor and Kelly Harrington won't happen, or is far more unlikely to happen, after Harrington told the Late Late Show she's staying on in the amateur ranks. That means she could be going for gold again at the Olympics in Paris in 2024. Staying with boxing, Eric Donovan had a great win over the weekend, stopping his opponent in the fourth round. So congratulations to him. Congratulations also to Leona Maguire of Cavan, who had a stellar performance in the Solheim Cup, which is the women's equivalent of the Ryder Cup. Those far more educated about golf than me, which is pretty much everyone, say she will eventually win a major. It might actually not be a case of eventually. It might come sooner rather than later. Also, congratulations to Aoife McCrystal and Katie George Dunleavy, who added another gold to their haul at the Paralympics. What a Paralympics it was for Ireland. And hopefully we'll catch up with a few of the athletes as they return and do a few feature pieces. Hard luck, by the way, to Michael McKillop, who didn't finish where he wanted to in his race, but what a servant he has been. And even other athletes stopped while he was doing his TV interview to say, this guy has raised the profile of our sport, this guy has been the GOAT, and he's just a bit of a hero. Still to come, former Wexford cornerback Malachy Travers will talk to us about moving pretty much straight from playing to managing the same bunch of players, which is exactly what he's done at Ballyboden Saint Enda. They had a good win over the weekend in the opening round of the Dublin Senior Hurling Championship. We'll also have former Mayo player Seamie O'Shea on next Saturday's All-Ireland Senior Football final between Mayo and Tyrone. Mickey Hart made some interesting comments in the press over the weekend. He felt that maybe Tyrone's display and victory was somewhat underplayed by some pundits who kind of concentrated on Kerry. If you want to hear more from the Tyrone side, we spoke to former Tyrone player Colm Kavanagh last week, so you can catch up with that now. Now, Ireland have been unlucky with COVID situations in the last year or so, but what about Brazil and Argentina's World Cup qualifier? It was suspended just minutes after kickoff on Sunday, that's last night, after Brazilian health officials objected to the participation of 3 Argentine players they believe broke quarantine rules. No doubt you've seen stuff on this floating around online. It's very much worth following up. You can check out the BBC website for more. First up, let's look ahead to the Republic of Ireland's World Cup qualifier meeting with Serbia on Tuesday night. We'll hear from former Irish international Joe Campbell shortly. That conversation was held before Coleman was ruled out, but it actually doesn't change much about what we discussed. I know it breaks your heart and surprises you to find out that this isn't done live. You're listening to something that was recorded, but there we go. First up, let's get the reaction of Stephen Kenny. After the 1-1 draw with Azerbaijan, he was asked how he thinks he's doing as manager, considering we have no wins in competitive games under him and just 1 point from 12 in our World Cup qualification campaign so far.
You know, we're building a good team at the moment. I think results overall, you know, haven't been certainly what I would have wanted, but I think you know, we're building a very good team. We've seen that in Portugal the other night. We had a standing performance in Portugal. 89th minute, we you know, we're 1-0 up and we ended up losing in injury time. So it was disappointing. Today we should have won. We dominated a lot of the game. You know, it was a match that we absolutely dominated, so we're kicking ourselves that we didn't win. So it's not for me to say how I'm doing, you know, but that's I think we're building a team here that can be very, very, very exciting over a period of time. We've seen that on Wednesday night, and today we've seen a lot of good football in that game today, and we just didn't get the goals that we deserved.
This is the extratime.com Monday podcast, and we're joined now by former Ireland international and UEFA qualified coach Joe Gamble. Joe, Ireland drawing 1-1 with Azerbaijan. What's your assessment of the games? What were the positives and the negatives?
Obviously, look, the negatives is the result. That sticks out like a sore thumb. I mean, 1-1 against a very, very poor ranked international team. But I mean, look, the positives are, look, they never stopped trying. I mean, on another day, that could have been easy 3 or 4-1. I mean, the chances that were created, unfortunately, the chances that were missed are too costly at this level. You know, I mean, they're not half chances. They're not even three-quarter chances. They're chances you have to score. And unfortunately, we got punished because of it. I mean, they had 1 or 2 kind of half chances maybe before they actually scored. But the one with the magic in the game comes from them, not necessarily from us. And that's very, very disappointing.
Do you think he got his setup right and his team selection right? Kevin Doyle said afterwards he doesn't think he did, whereas Stephen Kenny in the press conference said, well, we created chances, therefore I think I got it right. I'm paraphrasing him, by the way. That's not an exact quote.
Yeah. No, look, I can see both angles. I mean, look, as I said after the Portugal game, you know, I alluded to that, who would you drop after such a great performance away to Portugal? I mean, it's very difficult to go to the player and say, okay, I'm going to change the system. I'm going to go this way. And unfortunately, I don't see it in that system for this game. You know, maybe, you know, stronger managers or maybe other managers might have done that. But I think, did he get it wrong? I mean, my only thing is, I still think we should have doubled up or created more overloads out wide, you know, with a fullback and a natural fullback and a natural winger. I don't think Doherty, as good as he is, he's not a natural winger. He is a wing back, and I think we could have played maybe with Doherty and a right winger. But unfortunately, you got to drop Seamus Coleman. You got McLean left wing with Aaron Connolly. That was maybe more of a natural setup. But then you only have one striker because we play 3-5-2, and if Aaron Connolly comes out left wing, then you only have Adam in the middle with Troy Parrott and, you know, Jason Malumbi coming into the box, who isn't really a natural 10. He's a box-to-box grafter of a midfielder. So you're not really getting natural goal scorers into the area or in around the area. So it's like everything else. We drew the game, it feels like a loss, so he got it wrong. If we score those chances, like Stephen said, he created chances. No, the players created chances, and we scored, and nothing's even questionable. So that's the fine lines of the game. And unfortunately, he hasn't got a win, so everything he does is criticised and critiqued. But I think overall, I would say, look, we created chances, we didn't score, and it's nothing got to do with formations. It's nothing got to do with this, that, and the other. Players that go on the pitch are accountable, and you have to score those chances. It's as simple as that.
Is it a matter of players lacking confidence? Are we unlucky? Are we coming up against teams who are just doing the right thing about us? Why aren't we scoring? Or is it just, and God, I hate to throw this out there, but is it just that we don't have a Robbie Keane anymore? We have to accept that. Yeah,
I think there's a bit of everything there. To be quite honest, are we unlucky? I don't believe in luck. I think you create your own luck. I mean, that's the bottom line. That one, I think it's too many things. We're unlucky. You're not unlucky. You either in there and you take the opportunities, or you take opportunities and miss opportunities. Okay, and that one, I think confidence. Yeah, look, the more you go on and the more you don't win, the more pressure builds up. If you look at our front, say 3 yesterday, like, they're all babies, really, let's be honest about it. I mean, look, Adam Moyden is 20, Troy Parrott 20, I think, Aaron Connolly 22, if I'm not mistaken. So these are all young lads in their professional career, never mind their international career, playing at a good level, you know, a decent level. I mean, you can probably get away with one of them, but all 3, and then none of them are scoring, then obviously that's more pressure again. And look, if you look at Portugal, for example, the Portugal game, when I go back to that game, like, there's nothing between the sides overall, but 2 crosses come into the box, and you have the best header in the world, and the best player in the world bangs in 2 goals from a header. And it's 2-1, and we don't have that. I mean, we had probably better chances yesterday from crossing positions and balls into the box, and unfortunately our players didn't capitalise and didn't score, because we don't have a Robbie Keane. We don't have maybe a Niall Quinn back in the day who would bury that, or Tony Cascarino, and you go down the line and of strikers that we did have.
Is it a case, Joe, that we just don't have them yet? Troy Parrott, as you mentioned, young lad. Aaron Connolly. Brian Kerr said on analysis that he's not looking great at the moment. At the moment, he wouldn't actually be playing him. Adamida, as you've mentioned, there's still improvement in these lads. So is it a case that we don't have them yet, but Stephen Kenny thinks we will have them, but you have to give them game time?
Yeah, I would agree. I think we don't have them yet. Will the three of them always be the future of Irish football in terms of the top end? I don't know, it's hard to say, but I do think Adam Ida out of all of them will be a number 9 for Ireland for years to come. But he has to score goals, because you can do what you want outside the box. You can be a bit sloppy, you can have a few bad touches, you can get away with that, and you don't have to get up to much. But when it's in that area, you've got to score, and number 9s are judged on that. And I think he just needs to be ultra greedy, ultra focused on goals, and everything else in his game will come. But he needs more goals. 1 chance, 2 chances, that's a goal. You know, kind of way. No, listen, we're critiquing a young fella here, lads, like where he's only starting out his career. I'm in professional football, so it's very, very difficult, and it's not always as easy to say they will all be good. But the problem you have, Stephen Kenny won't get the time. I mean, I don't want to kind of be negative on that front, but he's not going to get the time unless we get results to see these players become full internationals in terms of top end internationals. So it's a balancing act. Like, he's got to get results, unfortunately. But I don't think you can judge him now. Look, from the outset, 1-1, terrible result, right? We were dominating the game. But you got to win the games by hook or by crook. It doesn't matter how you win. You got to win them, and then you get going. But it's not for the want of trying, not for the want of creating chances. We created chances, the players just didn't take them.
How would you set up against Serbia?
I think personally we should set up the way we set up against Portugal, and no matter who we play. I just don't think, I said this on Wednesday as well to you, that we don't have the players when the opposition are in low blocks, defending the 2 banks of 5, they're defending the box. We don't have enough about us to create enough chances. We don't have that bit of magic that will just turn on, drop the shoulder, bang, 30 yards out, he scores a great goal. We don't have that in the team, and we don't have that probably for a long time. So we are definitely better when we don't have to force the issue. So against Portugal, we looked like a better team because they had all the ball, and we were happy to be defensive minded and then break, win space, because we do have good athletes that will get in the box. We do have good pace. We do have good energy levels. You know, one thing about Irish lads, like, you know, they'll never stop running. They'll always give their utmost, and that's a trait that I think sometimes is overlooked as well. But in terms of quality, I think we should definitely be a bit more, I wouldn't say defensive, but a tactic where let them have the ball. I mean, Serbia are good technical players. They're good technicians. They're good on the ball. They're comfortable. Let them come onto us a little bit, and then just maybe break counter-attack football. I think we're better to set up that way than actually having the ball and trying to force the issue. And then when it's turned over, they could hurt us, because I think that's just the style of players we have, and I think that suits us.
I referenced one of your former fellow Cork City players earlier on, Kevin Doyle, who was on analysis for RTE. On Virgin, there was another one, Damien Delaney. He said that maybe going with the 2 in the centre of midfield is not the way to go for us, because there's too much space to cover. Teams are allowed to get in behind, so maybe you need a 3 in there. Would you agree with that? Yeah,
I think in national football, I don't think you can play 2 in midfield. I think it's just, unless you have 2 Roy Keanes, unless you have a Roy Keane and Paul Scholes, and they can put whoever they want in there, they're not going to get the better of them. But we don't have that type of calibre player. I just think modern day football is much more intricate, where you've got the false number 9, you've got the wingers coming off the line, you have fullbacks even coming inside and the winger dropping. So all of a sudden midfield is absolutely crowded. You have to fight fire with fire, and having 2 in field as a midfielder, you're going to get swamped. You don't know who to pick up, who's dropping off, who's coming inside. I think it's too open. I think you have to be defensively well organised off the ball, and I just think we're too open if you play 2 midfield. I think you have to have 3, sometimes even 4, the striker dropping off out of possession. But I definitely, I agree. I wouldn't play 2 midfield in any international match. I just think you're open to teams dominating the ball far too easily and getting way too easy possession. There's a difference of having pressure and a difference of kind of in that mode where you're waiting, and then you're going to pounce on pressure. So like we're dropped behind the ball, we're waiting for the opportunity, and then we go. That's just kind of being clever as a team. We're not going to overexert ourselves by pressing stupidly, but when you're being overrun because we're wide open, then you're asking for trouble.
What 3 do you put in there, and then how do you set the team up? Say, for example, now if I said to you, right, Joe, what's your team for Serbia? How do we set up? What would it be? And set up formation, the whole lot.
I think similar to what the shape we had against Portugal. We had a front three defending with Ida Collins, we had Connolly, Ida, and I think it was McGrath just to the right of it, even though he wasn't a natural winger. But like, he does like the 3-5-2. He wants to play Coleman and Doherty, right? So I don't think that's going to change. You could easily have a 3-4-3 formation in terms of having that sort of pressure where we're not playing with a back five because you'll never get out. Again, I'll go back to the two midfielders. You're going to get overrun, so the number 9's got to come back a little bit out of possession. But I think ultimately, I think a 4-3-3. Keep it simple. Everyone knows the role. I think a back four works. It always works. I think you're nice and solid, and there's not many gaps. Again, with 3 centre halves, you could easily get overrun out wide. You can get your centre halves. Like, do you really want Shane Duffy and John Egan running out wide to a winger where the best assets is when the ball comes in the box, they're very good in the air? So I think just for me, it's a 4-3-3. And go like a flat 3 and a flat 3 up front, out of position, and shift across. And when the opportunity comes, can be pressed really well. And then attacking wise, everyone knows the role. I think it's easy. I think it's just an easier fit for the players. But you've got to then obviously make the hard decision of who do you drop. It's, as I said, Coleman or Doherty. One of them can't play right wing. In midfield, I think Cullen has to play. I think he's been excellent in there. I think he's just a good 6, solid on the ball, doesn't give the ball away. Who do you play in there with him? Look, I think Malumbi in terms of work rate would absolutely work his socks off. But going forward, just keep it simple. Just get the ball and give it to people who maybe can create those openings or are more used to, I suppose, taking on people 1v1. I think you have to play Ida. I think he's our best centre forward at the moment. Aaron Connolly, Darryl Horgan. I think Darryl Horgan didn't do unbelievably well yesterday. I think he was okay, but I think he was sloppy enough in possession in terms of passes. It's difficult. I think it's a 4-3-3. I think certain players are nailed on, and you can probably pick 2 or 3 depending on form and depending what he sees. But to be honest, I wouldn't like to nail on a starting 11 in that team either.
Yeah, if you were going with one up top, is Callum Robinson a potential option, or would you rather have him to come off the bench? Or from Stephen Kenny's point of view, is he saying, right, Ida's been excellent, maybe I give him a rest and I spring him from the bench because we know he can hold the ball up, we know he can run, but Callum Robinson can kind of do that as well. It's a bit of a dilemma, isn't it? Or do you start them both? I don't know. Is there room? Can you start them both?
I think it's difficult to start 2 strikers up front. Yesterday you could have probably started 2 strikers up front because purely you're going to have a lot of the ball. And that's maybe where Kevin was on about yesterday, about maybe the starting team he maybe got it wrong. I personally would have liked to see 2 up front yesterday because we know we're going to ladder the ball. We know we're going to be camped in our box. We know we were going to cross the ball a lot or put a lot of balls in the box. Why not have 2 good strikers who are competitive in the air, Collins and Ida, with maybe Robinson to come off? I think I'd like to see that a little bit yesterday, more so than kind of sticking to the same team. But then again, the players don't deserve to be dropped from Wednesday. So, but look, that's the decisions you make as a manager. Something you get right, something you get wrong. But I think against Robinson, you could easily put Robinson on the right of a 3, but not necessarily right on the wing. You could easily play a narrow 3 strikers where you're more narrow, you're more 3 front men. Obviously, get out wide when the switch is on to support the fullback. But why not play a bit, maybe a narrow 3 strikers with either Collins and Robinson? The 3 of them, are quick, they're dynamic, they hold the ball up well. They'll cause the opposition back 4 problems. I think definitely that, but I don't think I'd play a front 2-2 out no 2 against Serbia. I think technically they'd play through us too easy.
Do you think we have a chance of getting any kind of result against Serbia?
Of course they do, yeah, absolutely. But they're good. They're very, very good. They're going to be a way more improved than Azerbaijan, and they're not going to be far off Portugal. Some of these players are top-end European players, and what you'll find is technically they are as efficient as you'll get. They won't give the ball away. They're happy to take the ball under pressure. They'll make our own work. So we've got to be ultra compact and concentrated. But then when it's in transition, when we get the ball, can we really hurt them on the break? Because I do think they'll have more possession of the ball in general. But look, I think the Irish lads will be hurting an awful lot. And I think the will to get the points, the will to get a win could be the difference. Because, it's when you go on that pitch, for example, and you're wounded that much, and you're going to get a lot of flack from the press. All of them will get a lot of flack from the press. They're going to come out swinging and punching, and hopefully one of those land.
Joe, I'm seeing a lot of people saying, "Well, you know what? We're just doing what we always did. We're getting crosses in, and that's how we're going to score. That's the only way we'll score." What do you make of that debate? Are you kind of are you a bit snobbish about how we create chances and how we score, or are those people being a little bit hard on Ireland?
I think people have been extremely hard in Ireland. I mean, look, like the way the team set up Azerbaijan, right? They had a low block. They defended a box with 10 players basically at times, maybe 9 and one left one up for the counter attack. But I mean, Portugal beat us Wednesday from 2 crosses in the box, right? 2 world class headers from the best players played, whatever, could be forever, right? But yet he is absolutely adored for it. What a player, what a header, blah blah blah. So when we score a goal from across, I should just go back to McCarthy or get the ball in the box, or Trapattoni, get the ball in the box. Like 90% of goals are scored in the box. I mean, whether it's set of pieces, whether it's a cross, whether it's a mistake, the striker's in there. So who are we to be saying that, like, oh yeah, we put the ball in the box, that's the only way we score. Oh, Duffy and Egan are the best headers of the ball we have, and that's the only way we're going to score. If that's the only way we're going to score, then keep doing it. If we win games because of it, then don't look down on your nose at it. You keep doing it. Like, I don't understand. I was kind of yesterday listening to 1 or 2 people saying about McCarthy, Esquire and stuff, and my fucking ears were nearly bleeding at times. They're like, hold on a minute. They're dropped off so deep, we can't get in behind them. So the only way we can is go around the outside of them. So you overload out wide, you get in behind them, you cross the ball, you get your bodies in the box. You don't have to crowd the box, but you get bodies in the box. So that's how you win games. If it's good enough for Ronaldo in Portugal, then it better be good enough for Ireland, that's for sure. So I don't understand it, and it kind of actually annoyed me when I heard that comments, because you win games by hook or by crook. You've got to find a way to beat the opposition, and if it's crossing the ball into the box because the opposition are dropping deep, then you just keep doing that. So it really annoyed me yesterday listening to that.
And actually, England and Italy weren't dissimilar to that during the Euros, were they? And there was only a penalty kick between them.
Absolutely. I mean, look, go back further. France played a 4-4-2 and literally sat in their own half. And just rigid as you have the best players in the world, Mbappe, you've Pogba, you've Griezmann, you've top players. So if they can play in a 4-4-2 in a low block and counter-attack you and break you down and win the World Cup, okay, what's wrong with that? Then England do it. England, I don't think, conceded a goal, and I think it was the final, they conceded 1 goal, or maybe 2 goals, sorry. But like, they were defensively so solid, and Italy were the same. I mean, I've seen Italy play against Spain. I think they might have 30% possession of the ball. They dropped off deep. They didn't want to get Spain in behind them. They were happy to have Spain in front of them. No bother. They were clearing balls. Balls came in the box. Didn't even look to pass the ball. Boom, the ball away. Literally clear the lines. Spain, unbelievable team. What a defensive team. Oh my God, what a defensive team. We do that. We're absolutely criticised to death. Our players do that. If John Egan or Duffy did that yesterday, boom, the ball away. Absolutely slaughtered for it. But Chiellini and the Italians can do it, and they're the greatest thing since sliced bread. England do it. They have counter-attacking players, the best in the world. Sterling, the Kanes, the Sakas, the Grealishes. Look, I'm not comparing our lads to them, right? But the principles are, why is it good enough for them and not good enough for us? Now, I know the draw makes that argument an awful lot worse because, you drew and all this will come out. And I get that, I understand it totally. But let's be fair to everybody and look at the game. If you were neutral, we deserved to win the game 3 or 4-1. There's no doubt about it. The chances were there. We were creating them. We created good chances, good quality balls into the box. We got good bodies into the box. We just didn't take them. And that's the game. You don't take a chance, you're going to get punished. They had 1 chance probably really. They won 2 chances, but 1 like a bit of magic from their player, and he puts in top bins. Happy, from their point of view, absolutely unbelievable. We don't have that in our team. Like I said before, we don't have that in our team. So we've got to score the goals the way we need to score the goals. So I am a bit disappointed in some remarks, but we can't be that snobbery. But we haven't done enough in international football to be kind of looking down our nose and how we score goals.
Does all of that stuff disappear? Does all of that debate disappear if we win that game, or if we win 100%. Matches regularly?
100%. 100%.
Like, no one, I don't like. Okay, Eamon Dunphy gave out about the brand of football we had under Jack Charlton, but ultimately the nation didn't care because we were winning.
And exactly, but why? Who are we to say the brand of football under Jack Charlton? It was kind of just like who are we? What have we done in international football? Like where does that snobbery come from? So we don't have the right to say that to anybody. Like, we win games, you win games. If you are a manager and you have 11 6'5" players on the pitch, for example, and technically we're not probably good in tight areas, whatever, but you go, right, okay, I don't have those type of players, so I'm going to put the ball in the box, I'm going to make it ugly, and we're going to win games. Isn't that good management?
If you win games, it's good management. That's what I've seen. That's what I've noticed about professional sport in the last number of years.
Exactly. Spain have tiny little 5'4" players, absolutely unbelievable. Could probably turn and beat 3 players in a post box, right? On a telephone box. Sorry, they're that good technically. Do they start launching balls into the box and having and crossing balls and fighting for second balls? No, they revert to what they're good at. So, like, you can only do as a manager, and you're going to look at what's in front of you and make the best of it. Obviously, we're trying to change, evolve a little bit, and we want to play up in the back. But I think there's a small bit of snobbery where we have to be seen to play and we have to be seen to do this sort of thing. But if it causes problems, you lose games from it, then you don't do it. You play at your strengths, you do what you can do to win games, and we're not in the right, and we haven't earned the right ever to be snobbery how we win games. We win games, you get the tournament, you do the best you can. After a while, if you can evolve and upgrade, okay, can we improve on things? But you certainly can't be snobbery and say, oh, we got to do this, we got to do that. We haven't got the right to do that. We haven't earned that right, and we're not a powerhouse to even go down that road.
And Joe, finally, you played football for a long time here and in the UK. You played for Ireland. Mm-hmm. You were part of a Cork City team that was very successful. How important are fans in football, and how important is it that the fans get behind the team on Tuesday night against Serbia at the Aviva?
I think COVID has shown us all how important fans are. And look, I'd be the first to say, look, when I was playing, I didn't probably appreciate them as much as you probably should, because it's a give me, or the fans will be there, it'll be a good crowd. It's only when they're taken away do you realise how poor football actually is. I mean, I couldn't really watch half the games on TV because the echo of the noise, the players shouting, it was like a dead rubber match, even though these were top-end Premiership matches or international matches. It was just like, oh God, it was painful to watch, to be quite honest. Genuinely was painful. So when you get the fans in there and the electricity of the noise when you attack, or a big tackle's gone in, or a big header's gone in, or there's a bit of a clash and there's a bit of quality for some players, all of a sudden it sparks everybody into kind of momentum. And I think, I think fans are absolutely huge. And I think with the Irish fans, obviously, it's like all fans. They need to be. I suppose they need to see something to cheer on too. Not kind of way. You need someone to make those big moments of the game, so the fans do get behind them. I'm sure they will, but fans are huge. I think they're absolutely huge, and I think it's really come to highlight from COVID. And I think players now appreciate it way more than they probably ever did.
Okay, former Ireland international Joe Gamble, thank you very much for joining us on the extratime.com Monday podcast.
Thanks, Oisin.
Passionate stuff from Joe Gamble there. He's right, goals are goals, and maybe sometimes we get a bit wound up or a bit caught up in how they're scored, and when other teams get goals from crosses, we give them praise, whereas when we do it, we use it as a stick to beat the team and the manager with. We ask, why aren't the forwards getting goals? Anyway, good points from Joe Gamble, and he did make them passionately. Now, speaking of making your point passionately, that's exactly what Tim Clancy has done with David Sheehan of LMFM Radio. Over the weekend, he was disciplined during his team's 0-0 draw with Sligo Rovers at Head in the Game Park. And this is what he had to say after the game. He was speaking with David Sheehan of LMFM.
Unfortunately for yourself, you were just back from suspension this evening. You got a yellow card from Rob Harvey and then a second yellow almost immediately afterwards. Can you tell us what happened there?
Yeah, I'm accused of using bad language all the time and abusing referees. So I think you've seen tonight there was 4 bookings for us maybe. One of their players has committed 4 or 5 fouls, flew into a few tackles, and he catches Ronan Murray with a bad tackle. I just asked why wasn't that a yellow card, and Liam Buckley and the fourth official started having a little laugh and joke about it, and I just says, well, Liam's the one laughing because his players aren't getting booked, mine are. So I got booked for that, and then he came over and I says, that's embarrassment that I'm getting booked for that, and he said straight red card. And his words to Kev after the game were, it's not about yous, this isn't all about yous, and I don't deserve that. I don't know. We really have to start looking at the treatment of the coaches and the managers on the sideline in this league. I think some of them think the game's about them, particularly Derek Tomney tonight. I think that he believes that he's the centre of attention. He seems to always make himself the centre of attention. You're not allowed to talk to him. This is the same guy who accused one of my players before the game up in Finn Harps, where Chrissy Lyons slipped on the tiles walking out of the dressing room, and he says, at least wait till you get on the pitch before you start diving. So in my eyes, that's a fella going onto the pitch with a preconceived idea he's supposed to manage the game fairly, and shock horror, Chrissy didn't get nothing off him that day. He got tackled, he was on the ground injured, and Derek Tommy told him to get up. Again, that's not, he's there to protect the players. I'll probably get in trouble for this, but you know what, I'm sick of it now at this stage. We've other managers in the league that have had multiple red cards this season and they get 1 game bans. They can give me 10 games, they can give me 20 games, ban me for 5 years if they want, I don't care. I've had enough of it now at this stage. It has to be highlighted. I know all the managers in the league are thinking probably the same. It's something that has to be done. I think we're the highest in Europe for yellow cards and red cards. You're not allowed to talk to them. It's like we're in baby infants in school and they're teachers and you're told to sit down and stay quiet. And for a match official to turn around and say it's not about yous, what is it about then?
Now, it's an interesting one. You hear an awful lot of managers complaining about the officials in this league. The question I ask myself is, can they all be wrong? They're all coming from it from the point of view of their team. If something goes against them, of course, they're going to protest. There's always going to be a certain element of that, even if the officials made the right calls. But looking at some of the reaction over the weekend, there does seem to be an issue. And one way the officials can help themselves here is by talking about this and coming out and debating it and maybe meeting the managers. Now, maybe all that does happen and I don't know about it, but it just seems like there's a real communications issue here and that could help solve things. As for the standard of refereeing, honestly, I'm not the best person to judge, but it is something that comes up again and again in our league. Now, it comes up in every league, but the numbers of managers disciplined does seem to be disproportionately high. Waterford drew 1-1 with Dundalk at the RSC on Friday night, and funnily enough, the referee was once again a talking point. The draw, by the way, it means that the Blues are third from bottom, 1 point ahead of Dundalk, who have 2 games in hand. Manager Mark Bircham has done quite a job since taking over at Waterford, and after the game, he spoke to WLRFM's Matt Keane and first gave his reaction to the result before moving on to chatting about the officials.
Sort of happy. We deserved at least a draw. It shows where we've come when we've been disappointed with a draw against Dundalk at home because of the type of club that they are, how big they are. But again, we've tried everything about starting right and we didn't start right. Whether it's I think we made a lot of unforced mistakes in the first 5-10 minutes, whether it's passes or not winning headers or not winning tackles, and that momentum sort of spilled into them. And then they went 1-0 up, but credit to us, our boys, like they always do, they respond, and we pinned them back second half, got a goal, and probably unlucky not to get a goal. I know that you're trying to get me to speak about the referees and their decisions because it's just, I don't want to moan about them, but first goal, it's a rolling ball and a free kick. I said, gone into them at the end, I said, how can, he said he'd see it as well. If he didn't see it, fair enough, but one of the team should see it on them, and it's rolled twice and he's hit it, and a free kick. So that's just, you'd be disappointed having that at under 14 football.
He actually admitted he saw it, did he?
Yeah, he said he see it and he didn't think it was rolling. No, so that surprised me because I thought maybe he'd say he didn't see it. You see it, and of his opinion, so I don't want to get in trouble. So yeah, I'm very disappointed with that, and then very disappointed that the defender didn't get sent off a handball at the end. He's handballed it. Greg's going to be through 1-on-1, and they said he didn't really mean it because but they think it weren't deliberate. Then if it's not a deliberate handball, it's not a free kick. It's one or the other. It's either a free kick and a red card, or it's not a free kick. So again, we're at the end of dodgy decisions, but don't worry, I've been practicing my refereeing in training, giving dodgy decisions, so we have to react from it. And we've reacted and we've come away. Look, the dressing room's disappointed. It's like we lost. It's disappointing that we've not won, but it's still a good point. It's another point towards our total to get safe. But we're getting there. And look, a draw was probably about a fair result after going 1-0 down, but look, we're probably disappointed we didn't win it.
Finn Harps manager Ollie Horgan is still looking down rather than up table-wise, despite the 2-1 win over Shamrock Rovers at Ballyboden. That's now 6 wins in a row in all competitions. The result means they're 7th, 5 points shy of 4th place Derry, whom they face next weekend in the league. Of course, they had that big win over them in the Cup recently. After the game, Ollie Horgan spoke to ExtraTime.com's Macdara Ferris.
Yeah, obviously we prefer if there was 6 league games with Derry, and try and get away from the bottom of the table. As I said to the reporter before you don't get any bonus point for beating Shamrock Rovers. But we'll take it and move on. We've a hugely difficult game in the Brandywine next Friday against the Derry side that are excellent at home. They're very, very good away, Joe Mine at home, so we know that unless we're fully right, we'll get nothing out of that. It was very difficult to turn the losing run we're on, and we're hoping that it might be as difficult to turn the winning run that we're on just the same.
A superbly superb team goal you scored. I think it was 9 passes that came back to the back post to get that opening goal.
Yeah, look, I mean, the first half was scrappy. There wasn't a whole lot in it. Shamrock Rovers hadn't a whole lot of chances, neither had us. To be fair to them, the majority of possession. I think that the biggest pleasing point for us was when Shamrock Rovers equalised. It looked inevitable that they would go on and win it, as they have often, more times than enough, done in the injury time or whatever it may be. I think we found just a little second wind, and that's probably the most pleasing part. But when confidence is up with a few wins, that happens. Had we been on the run that we're on in the months of June and July, Shamrock Rovers would have got a winner. But look, we probably got them, if there's ever a good time to get them, we probably got them at a good time. I mean, it's not the 11 they had out there, and it's probably they hadn't as much as usual to freshen it up and come at you in more waves, and that was probably, you know, a good time, if there ever is, to get them.
And it was a great battle between Tunde Aluwable and Barry Cotter, who was making his debut for Shamrock Rovers. And Tunde's on great run of form. That's 5 goals in 3 games. Yeah,
he is. Yeah, I mean, Barry did very well on him too. Haven't seen Barry since he left Limerick, and you know, look, he's a smashing addition to Shamrock Rovers, and I thought it was a good battle. I thought the first half that Barry won it out. You know, his athleticism in the air and his pace. But look, Tunde came up with a winner in the end, which is what it's all about. But we've moved on very, very quickly. We've a savage battle ahead of us in the remaining games to try and survive in this division. And as I said, you don't get a bonus point for beating Shamrock Rovers.
Rovers, by the way, are still on top, level on 50 points with St. Pat's, who beat Longford. However, the Hoops have 2 games in hand. In the First Division, Bray are 5th following a 4-3 defeat to 3rd place UCD at the Bull. Bray manager Gary Cronin spoke to ExtraTime.com's Andrew Dempsey after the game and told him that they will bounce back.
Big game next weekend at Lone to try and put things right. So between now and then, I'll have choices. Yeah, I have obviously players coming back from suspension. Yeah. You know, keeper coming back from international duty. So yeah, life's all about choices sometimes, and I'll have a few to make now between now and then next week.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was really, there's 2 moments from UCD that kind of won. And obviously 2 goals in 7 minutes and 2 goals in 4 minutes. Like, so yeah, that must be really frustrating for you, just the lack of focus at those times.
Exactly, and that's what it was. I mean, I was looking to make a change in the tour goal, and I turned around and saw the ball in the back of the net. Yeah. And what I will say, to be fair to the lads, they haven't had that lapse in concentration for so many times in a game this season. I believe in the group, I believe in the players. I believe we'll pick ourselves up from this.
This is the ExtraTime.com Monday podcast. Gaelic games now, and soon enough you'll hear from former Mayo player Seamie O'Shea on the All-Ireland final between Mayo and Tyrone next Saturday in Croke Park. We'll also chat to Ballyboden Saint Enda senior hurling manager Malachy Travers about managing players that he's played with. That's what he's doing now. He's stepped up to the manager role for this season, and he is in charge of many players that he soldiered with and won county titles with, so it is an interesting dynamic. First up, Meath are TG Cahir All-Ireland ladies senior football champions for the first time, following a 111 to 12 points win over 5 in a row chasing Dublin. Meath only came up from intermediate last year, and a couple of years back suffered a 40-point defeat to Cork, whom they beat, by the way, in the semi-final. Royals manager Eamon Murray told the LGFA social channels afterwards that it was a tough year, as one of his daughters is currently battling cancer. So we send our best wishes to Eamon and his family. And after the game, he spoke to the media, including ExtraTime.com. First, though, let's hear from Dublin manager Mick Bowen.
Yeah, look, we're hugely disappointed. At the end of the day, devastation is for different things in life. I have to take my hat off to me. I thought they were outstanding. I don't know if I saw that coming. Maybe we didn't. I certainly couldn't get over with their intensity. Maybe it's the first time we've seen it up front. They certainly weren't overawed by the occasion, and that's a testament to them and the work that's been done with them. It seems to be a ferocious battle. You guys will be better judged or better equipped to judge that, because there'll be a little bit more emotion involved in it for us. But we've no qualms. From my end, I've been terribly lucky to have been involved with our group and the quality of people that we deal with. And that obviously doesn't change regardless whether we win or lose. as you guys know, this sport is so much more than a game, and we're obviously hugely proud to represent the city in this capacity, and certainly over the last period of time that I've been involved, I think they've done a phenomenal job representing our city. I can say this to you hand on heart, that whatever we as a management team have given them in sport, they've given us way more. And so I look back to 5 years ago, and obviously on the back of 3 All-Ireland defeats, I suppose today was the end of a road for probably half a dozen of that group, and you would have obviously written the script differently from our end. But again, I hand the thing back over to me. That's the way it's supposed to be done. You're supposed to go out into that arena, and you're supposed to empty your souls on the pitch. That's why we value it so highly. So I hope the people that came today got the spectacle that they deserve, and I certainly think it was a marvellous front for ladies football, and I'm sure you guys would back that.
I never questioned that they wouldn't win, and I mean that. We never questioned for 1 minute. We knew this year we'd win every game, and we didn't worry about All Irelands. We didn't think about them, or every game we took, like even the league final against Kerry, we took that and approached that the same as today's game, and they showed no sign of panic at any time. We probably beat them at their own game a wee bit, so there's no harm. And these girls come on a long way today with their physical strength and stuff. We needed all that strength we had today to beat them. They're a class outfit. Unbelievable team, and to be the best you have to beat the best. I mean, we certainly did that today. We're far the best team at that today. We need to forget about the bad days from now on, and let's worry about the future. We're hearing all week about these bad times we had, and those bad days are gone, thank God, and let's move on and start enjoying football. It's nothing more than we deserve. We're a very proud big county, like 7,500 members. It's huge. There are very few other counties with that many members. This is great for all them young kids looking up to these brilliant players like Neve here. They've heroes after day, and these are all heroes and will be heroes for life. If they never kick another ball, it doesn't matter. They'll never be forgotten, never. They're going down in history now, thank God.
This is the ExtraTime.com Monday podcast, and that was Eamon Murray, the Meath manager. Before we analyse that game, it's kind of interesting looking back on the weekend. A couple of players who might have been involved in teams for the All-Ireland Ladies Final were involved in the Evoke.ie FAI Cup quarter-final. Sarah Rowe, who's back with Shelbourne. They beat Cork City 1-0. Of course, Sarah Rowe made the semi-finals with Mayo. They were beaten. Saoirse Noonan, not part of the Cork ladies footballers this year, but very much involved for Shelbourne in that game. Actually scored the goal against her old team. And the other games, by the way, Galway beating DLR Waves by 1-0. Peamount overcoming Treaty 2-0 in Limerick. And Wexford beating Athlone Town by 3-1. For Galway, Rachel Kearns is actually involved there, and she was excellent for Mayo in the All-Ireland semi-final as well. Just goes to show how multi-talented some of these players are. ExtraTime.com's Aoife Mullen was at the game in Croke Park to watch Meath beat Dublin in the TG Cahir All-Ireland Ladies Football Final. Aoife, it was quite an occasion, wasn't it?
Oh, it was an incredible game, and the atmosphere was really electric. You couldn't help but notice and be drawn in, I suppose, by the sheer noise, and the Meath crowd that were there. They brought such wonderful support, and so they would. It's a neighbourly rivalry, really, and people were really looking forward to this game. And even beforehand, I suppose, looking at the videos from County Meath, they were really geared up for this match. And a lot of people, I think, maybe thought or worried that perhaps the media attention would get to them and this frenzy might maybe impact their performance, but certainly not. If anything, it feels like they used that as ammunition. And Vicky Wall, who was awarded the player of the match, she said as much in her post-match interview, and speaking afterwards, she did note this hype, and when she was asked did she avoid it, she kind of felt it was difficult to avoid. You couldn't help but, I suppose, notice the excitement and the buzz around the entire County Meath in the lead up to this. And as I said, rather than that unsettling them or making the team nervous, they just showed such experience, and they, from the very get-go, they were determined.
What about the game itself? You said that from the start they were determined, but they seemed set up well. Dublin, who can run through teams or who have run through teams in the past, just couldn't seem to do it. Meath were turning them over. They were breaking up the pitch very quickly, and ultimately they found a way to win.
Well, Vicky Wall, the aforementioned Vicky Wall, she won the ball from the throw-in. She raced down the pitch towards goal. She was fouled by Jennifer Dunn, and then Stacey Grimes, who scored that all-important penalty in the semi-final against Cork, she converted that free. So that was within the opening seconds, and that set the tone. I mean, her run from midfield, her determination, even catching the ball, that really, as I said, it set the tone. And we wondered, I don't think spectators wondered, could Meath keep this up for the entire 60 minutes, and at what point would they wane or would they tire? But they just didn't. And so from that very moment, they just kept going. Like a couple of moments afterwards, Sinead Ahern, the Dublin captain, she scored a point, and I remember writing in my notes, level for the first time in the game, but they were level for the only time in the game, because afterwards Niamh O'Sullivan scored a point for Meath. They led then in those opening moments, and they never looked back. And as you said, Dublin did find it very hard to play against this system. And Mick Bowen himself, even in the week leading up to the game, he did speak of the defensive system that Meath had and how it would be a challenge to them, a new challenge, that they hadn't come up against this before. And we saw that today, the utter dogged defending, and Dublin just couldn't break it down. And you could see the frustration. You could see maybe in the second half how Dublin were rattled, and it's not something that we're used to seeing. It's certainly not something that the Dublin team are used to experiencing. And some uncharacteristic efforts that you've mentioned, the turnovers, and that was something that even at half time we could see that this was really impacting on Dublin, and that 5-point cushion at half time just proved too much.
It's easy to say in retrospect, but Dublin had a couple of players out there who maybe weren't 100%, and I wonder would they do it differently if they were to get their time back. Brilliant as those players are.
Fantastic. And you're right in that it is easy for us to say that now looking back. And after the semi-final, I remember the manager Mick Bowen speaking about those players who were carrying injuries and niggles. It was a surprise when Carla Rowe was left out of the semi-final against Mayo, and obviously Sinead Goldrick had a terrible injury earlier in the year, and he did say that they were being monitored very closely, and I've no doubt that they have been, and the whole team behind them were obviously very aware of how they were. So they weren't going to start them, only for they obviously felt that they were fit for this. But I think Dublin as a whole were just blown away by the sheer physicality and the pace of Meath, and even Meath's strength and conditioning. Like, as much as we talk about how Dublin maybe underperformed, Meath just were sensational and were just able to match Dublin all over the park.
We heard from Mick Bowen earlier on. He was quite emotional. I was tempted not to use that or to cut it out, but I actually wanted to get across how much this meant to him, how much it meant to the team, how much just generally this sport meant. But also at the same time, he made a mention at the start of the press conference that he's disappointed, but devastation is for other things in life, that this was just football. He kind of captured it perfectly, while also praising Meath, by the way. I mean, he took this one on the chin. They just admitted we were beaten by a better team.
He did, and even personally, he did say in that press conference that he made mistakes, and maybe the performance that Meath gave wasn't what he was expecting. So he did take ownership, I suppose. But that's a good point. As you say, you were wondering, should you or should you not use the clips, so personal as they were. But I agree with you, and I think it's great that we get this insight and such absolute raw emotion. And it must be very difficult for a manager or for anybody to come out after a defeat like that and to face the media. But in fairness to him, he did, and he was very, very honest, very, very open. You could hear his voice cracking. You could see it in his face that, he was dejected. As you say, devastation is for other things. And in the context of what has happened in the last 18 months with the pandemic and everything, I suppose that was a key message that he gave across. But he was full of praise for his team. I think part of the emotion maybe that he was feeling was the fact that there were a couple of members, or more than a couple, he mentioned probably half a dozen, but a handful of players on the pitch who possibly this would be the end of the road for them. So that was even more emotional. Like Lindsay Davey, we saw she was substituted in the last 10 minutes after scoring a great point. She was one who we thought maybe had left the Dublin panel but came back this year. So sheer disappointment.
Yeah, and who knows who might stay or who might go. This Dublin team have raised the standards. They've been amazing, just like Cork were before them. But now it's about Meath. It's Meath's All-Ireland title. It's the first time they've got their hands on the Brendan Martin Cup. And to the victor goes the spoils. They absolutely deserve their victory. And by the way, congratulations as well to Westmeath, who won the intermediate title, and Antrim, or was it Wicklow? I beg your pardon, Wicklow, who won the junior title. So a good day for those counties as well.
And we look at Westmeath, and they'll be looking on at Meath now thinking...
Yeah, because Meath only won the intermediate last year.
Yeah, 8 months. It's bizarre to think about it, and it's difficult to comprehend how quickly this ascent has been. But
if you're Westmeath as well, you're thinking, come on, neighbours, you couldn't give us one day. Meath completely overshadowed them by winning the All-Ireland title. And of course, you're from Louth as well. You'd know all about
well, as much as
Meath
it
ruining
pains
your
me,
day. Yeah.
as it pains me to give praise to Meath, you can't. But it was such a spectacle. It was wonderful, and it's hard to point to individual players because they were all superb. I mean, I mentioned Vicky Wall. She was fantastic. Emma Duggan is obviously one to watch because we said that Stacey Grimes had scored the penalty in the last couple of minutes against Cork, and Emma Duggan came up with a goal in that game, and she came up with quite a goal in this game too, and the goal that proved to be the difference, and that was in 6 minutes. And just as a spectator watching on, and people may have seen on social media channels for LGFA that there was a video of Emma doing the rounds, filmed in her school, because that's how young she is. She just got her Leaving Cert results last week, and that they weren't the only points that she's worried about this weekend. But what I thought was very striking was her confidence. For example, after 6 minutes, she took a shot, the shot went wide. You'd think 6 minutes into an All-Ireland final against Dublin, who are going for 5 in a row, somebody at that age, just turned 19 last week, you'd think, oh, that could knock her confidence. Not a bit of it. Literally seconds later, Ciara Trant, who's an all-star goalkeeper for Dublin, and we have to say the press that Meath had on the Dublin kickouts really worked so much in their favour and really caught Dublin on the hop. But that particular moment, as much as the Vicky Wall run at the very beginning summed up the performance or set the tone for the performance, Emma Duggan's goal, her chip on Ciara Trant, like the short kick out was aimed at Hannah Tyrrell, who I have to say was exceptional as well. She had 7 points today. She was the top scorer for Dublin going into this game, and 7 points was her tally today. She was phenomenal. But it was a pass to her that was intercepted by Duggan. I'm sure this clip will be for everyone to see all week. Fantastic. But just the confidence of Emma to take that on.
Okay, well, look, congratulations to Meath and Eamon Murray, the manager. What a job he's done. I have to say, when they beat Armagh, I said, they caught Armagh. They won't catch Cork. Then when they beat Cork, I said, but Cork couldn't see out the game. You know, the Dublin won't be caught. They're too clever. And sure enough, Dublin, I was going to say were caught. They weren't caught. They were just beaten by a very good team. So Meath have been confounding people all summer, and fair play to them. Well done to them. They deserve their victory. Aoife Mullen, thank you very much for joining us on the extratime.com podcast.
Thank you.
Well, we're delighted to be joined by AIBGAA Ambassador Seamie O'Shea of Brafey and, of course, formerly of Mayo, ahead of the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship final as long-time rivals Mayo and Tyrone meet in a mouth-watering final to round off #the toughest knockout season of summer football. Seamie, I imagine you've enjoyed the last couple of weeks, especially Mayo's run to the All-Ireland final.
Yeah, it's been great, Delighted for the lads. They've put in a couple of big performances over the last couple of months. They looked like they weren't in a great position at halftime in either of them, but in fairness to the lads, they came good in the second half against Galway and did something similar against Dublin. So thrilled for them, delighted for them that they're back in an All-Ireland final and they've an opportunity to hopefully get it done.
What's impressed you most about Mayo? Is it the comebacks? Is it the steely determination to stay in games? Is it the execution of how they've won those games? What is it?
I think a couple of things with the way they probably adapted throughout the games is something that's impressed me. I think against Galway, they switched the matchups pretty early on, or it was maybe at half time where they switched Leroy off Shane Walsh and put Paddy on him. And they came to terms with them a little bit better in the second half. They changed tactic good, but then again in the second half against Dublin, I know they changed Leroy onto Conor Callahan, they put Pádraig O'Hora onto Kieran Kilkenny, which seemed to work. And again, the way they approached the game in the second half was brilliant to see. And they just adapted really well to the conditions of the game and were able to kind of think their way through it a little bit. So I've been impressed by that. And obviously they've they've been kind of undeterred regardless of what's been going on in the game. They've had some setbacks where the goals against Galway, they're kind of down to Dublin by 5 or 6 points, but they remained composed throughout and were able to kind of stick to their plan a little bit, and we're just kind of able to see it through. So it's great to see them just stick with it, even in the face of kind of adversity like that, and get on the right side of those results.
And Mayo have suffered some bad days against Dublin in recent years. So how big a boost is it mentally for this group to have beaten them in that semi-final?
Yeah, it's huge. It has to be huge, to be fair. Look, I don't think that Dublin team is as good as it was, obviously, but at the same time, they're 6 in a row All-Ireland champions, and it's given our history with them. It was great that it was finally Mayo that put an end to that run. So I think for the young fellas in particular, it has to be huge for their confidence, because they're going up against obviously a brilliant team that was favoured for the All-Ireland, and they're down early and were able to pull it out of the bag. And in particular, a number of them had huge moments. Like in particular, Ryan and Tommy towards the end of the game, they came up with really, really big plays at an important point in the game, which got us over the line. So for guys that haven't been in those situations, a huge amount, that they've got to take a huge amount of confidence from that. And will hopefully set them up well for the final.
The final is against Tyrone. They're a team that Mayo have fared relatively well against in the championship over the years. Granted, it's not like Dublin. It's not like you've been kind of beating them all the time.
Yeah, no, we've matched up well against them over the years. We had a good win against them in 13 and again in 16, but that's a good while ago now at this stage. I don't think any of the players are left from 13. It's certainly not too many of their players. And in 16, there's probably maybe half of their group and half of our group that are still involved to some extent. And so, yeah, decent record against them, but look, I don't think that matters for a huge amount going into the game. And I think both teams will be pretty confident after their semi-final wins, and they'll feel like they've got a great opportunity here. So look, it'll be interesting to see what way it pans out, but it'll be I expect it to be a pretty tight game.
I spoke to Colm Kavanagh a wee while ago, and he mentioned the word chaos about Tyrone in their semi-final. It's kind of the same with Mayo, isn't it? And when we say chaos, of course, we're giving no credit to the management, which is wrong, because it's kind of set up to be chaotic, if you follow my lead there, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, both teams thrive off that kind of chaos, and they thrive off, turnovers and broken play. When the game is really structured, they can find it difficult to break teams down. And you saw the last day, early on in the game, where players are fresh and players have been tightly marked, and teams are a bit more conservative early on. Tyrone found it very difficult to make an impact. The goal aside, they found it hard to get possession of the pitch. But they were very efficient, in fairness to them. And the longer the game went on, the more they were able to force turnovers and kind of create that kind of broken play and create overlaps, things like that. It suited them more and more. And Mayo were similar. You could see the same thing in the first half against Dublin. Again, very structured. The longer the game went on, the more tired players got. Gaps start appearing, and that just suits the type of players that they have. So it'll be interesting to see how both those teams match up, because you're right that they're similar enough in the way they go about it.
Mayo going into the game without a couple of big players. Look, Killian's been missing all year. I don't think it looks particularly good for Oisin Mullen. I'm not sure what the situation is with Owen. Maybe the delay has given him enough time to recover. I'm not sure, but either way, it's like they're big players to be missing.
Yeah, it's huge. Like the only thing, like from Killian's point of view, the lads have known that he's been gone for the whole season, so they've been able to plan around that. Jason Doherty's another one who's a huge loss to the team. Brendan Harrison came back the last day, so it was great to see him make a return. But yeah, like they're a huge loss. You'd love to have those lads playing the next day, and like on a personal level, you just feel for them, because I know that they'll be hurting, that they'd love to be able to play. I can't imagine Owen McLaughlin will be making a return. I don't know what the story is there, but that would look like a pretty bad jaw injury. So, and then Oisin, like the 4-week break probably doesn't no harm. Again, I don't know what the story is, but hopefully that's given him enough time that he's able to recover and play some part, because like he's a hugely important player for Mayo. And particularly with Owen being out now as well, that's another defender down. So if we can get Oisin back, it would be a huge boost.
What effect do you think this extended wait will have on Mayo, good or bad?
I don't think it'll make much of a difference, to be honest. I think, the script will be written afterwards, and people will either say it worked in their favour or worked against them. I think the Dublin game was pretty physical and would have taken a lot out of the lads. So you probably spend that week recovering and taking it easy, and then you've probably a block of 2 weeks in between where you go hard, and then you have a nice handy week next week where you take it easy on the way into the final. So like the S&C guys and stuff will have all that covered off. I don't think it'll be an issue. In a way, because Oisin's such an important player, I think it's probably suiting us, because hopefully it means that he's given as much time as possible to get back. But regardless of what happens next Saturday, it won't be an excuse from Mayo's point of view. Their preparation will be fine, and they'll be in a good position.
I want to talk to you about some of the games that you played in, because like you've been part of some tremendous Mayo performances, and we've used the word chaos once or twice in the lead up to this game. What's it like when you're out there and you're trying to make decisions, but it's so intense and there's noise and it's crazy? If you can at all, try and give us some kind of insight into that.
You're probably oblivious to what's going on around you, to be honest with you. And it probably looks chaotic from the outside looking in, but within it, like, you're so used to playing with those players and how you play together and how you fit together and what you're trying to do as a team, that it doesn't feel chaotic within it. Do you know what I mean? And from our point of view, like we probably played a little bit more controlled in our latter years as we got older. It probably wasn't quite as chaotic as it was previously, and we became a bit more composed, maybe a bit more controlled. But like, it's a great position to be in, and you can kind of feel it within that when you start to get a bit of momentum on the team in those situations. It's very, very hard to turn it, and you could see that the last day with Tyrone and Kerry, and again with Mayo and Dublin, where even though Dublin were ahead and Kerry were ahead, you always got the feeling watching it that, geez, like, this thing is on here, and both teams, like, if they really go for it here, they're going to turn them over. And you just got the sense watching Tyrone and Kerry the last day that Tyrone were kind of growing in energy and Kerry were kind of fading a little bit and getting frustrated and losing patience. And that kind of momentum is very, very difficult to stop in the moment. So it's it might look chaotic, but there's some thinking in behind it, and it's not as mental in the game as you think.
What about yourself? Is there any kind of days that stand out to you in the Mayo jersey, your own personal kind of highlights?
Yeah, like it's difficult because none of them ended up with an All-Ireland win. Do you know what I mean? So there's no kind of, we never finished the year winning the last game, so it always kind of ended in disappointment, which is the frustrating thing. I was fortunate enough to win an under-21 title way back in 2006, which was at a time when Mayo hadn't won any All-Ireland for a very, very long period since the early 80s, which was a very big deal at the time. And then, like, we had a lot of big wins throughout the years. Like the Cork win early on was really important for the group in 2011. They were All-Ireland champions at the time, and we were a bunch of young fellas coming up to Croke Park. So that kind of set us up and kind of gave us the confidence that, you know, we can play at this level and we're capable of competing here. And then any of the big games against, you know, the top teams, Dublin, Kerry, Tyrone, Donegal, where we came out on the right side of them, were just memorable occasions. You know, we Dublin in 2012, we'd Kerry in 17, Tyrone in 16. We played Donegal, I think, 2 or 3 times since we lost them in 2012. And all of those big games against the top opposition that you're competing against, anytime we came up on top in those games, they were special occasions, and memorable moments.
You won a lot more games than you lost. You had far more good days than bad. I remember speaking to Ken McGrath and a couple of the great Waterford team of the kind of late 90s and early 2000s, and they would say the same as you. Like, it was great to be part of big days, but we'd have loved to have won an All-Ireland. And I always say to them that, okay, of course, and I'm a Waterford person, so I would love for them to have won an All-Ireland as well, but a Waterford person with the Mayo name, so I'd love to see both of you win. But anyway, I say to them, you know, you might not have the Celtic Cross, but you have a kind of a legendary status in the game. You're a team that were loved. Everyone pretty much knows everyone on that team. And there must be something in that you actually gave something to fans. And I hope for yourselves, you took something from that yourselves.
Yeah, it's funny because like some teams kind of came and went very quickly. They might have picked up an All-Ireland and then kind of disappeared off the radar a bit. And, you know, I'd probably swap that because you'd like to have the All-Ireland, but at the same time you miss out on, you know, 10 years of experiences of playing at that top level and competing in those big games. And throughout that, you're right, like, you do build a huge kind of rapport with the supporters and things like that. And it's probably not something you're aware of in the middle of it because you're just competing and you're trying to win. But certainly there's moments here and there where you have discussions with supporters and stuff, and you realise how important it is for them and how much of an impact it has in their lives and how much enjoyment they get out of it, following the team, and bringing their kids to games, and just how important it is to them in general. And those kind of moments are pretty humbling. So yeah, I think like as a group, because we've been around for so long and have played in so many games over that period, there is that kind of connection with the supporters. And it's look, it didn't work out, but it was a great period for Mayo football and continues to be. And it was brilliant that we got to compete at that level for so long.
I think as the competitor and elite athlete you're saying it didn't work out because there was no All-Ireland, but to me it kind of did work out because you did so much more than that. And even today I was saying, oh, how are you, Seamie? Like we were best brothers or best buddies or something. I've never actually met you, but I feel you're very familiar to me because of what you and that team have done. So I don't know if, like, and you mentioned it there that fans and people talk to you all the time about it, and there must be something nice in that you've given them something.
Yeah, I've never really thought about it, but I know what you mean. Yeah, because there was that kind of crew of players were there together for so long. I think you're right. Like there is a huge familiarity with that group, and we never really went away. Do you know what I mean? We never took a year off. We were there every year, either in a semi-final or a final, and there was loads of replays within that and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you're right. There is that kind of familiarity with the group, and we're kind of well known because of it. But yeah, I haven't kind of stepped back to think about that. But you'd probably still trade it for an All-Ireland. But yeah, look, it is what it is. Your journey is your journey. You can't change it at this stage. And look, I had a great career. I had a great time doing it. I'd love to be able to still do it, but it was great while we were in it.
Seamie, before I let you go, I have a feeling I already know the answer to the question, but who do you think will win the All-Ireland final, and how do you think they'll win it?
Look, I hope Mayo win, obviously. I think they're well set up. I think Mayo have a slight edge. I think they're in great form at the moment. I think they'll have taken huge confidence from the Dublin game. I think they'll have learned a lot from watching Tyrone and Kerry in particular, what not to do against them. And I think we've a nice blend at the moment in terms of experience and kind of youth. So look, I think the lads are in great form, and I think there's a big performance in them. So I expect them to win.
Okay, well, it's been great to talk to you today. AIB-GAA Ambassador Seamie O'Shea of Brafey GAA, and of course formerly of Mayo, ahead of the All-Ireland Senior Football Championship final as long-time rivals Mayo and Tyrone meet in a mouth-watering final to round off # the toughest knockout season of summer football. Seamie, thank you.
Cheers, Oisin.
It is the extratime.com Monday podcast. As we speak, it's Friday night in Parnell Park. Malachy Travers, the Ballyboden Saint Enda's manager and former Wexford cornerback, is standing with me behind the terrace. Malachy, you've just watched your team win on the opening night of the Go Ahead Ireland Dublin Senior Hurling Championship. You must have been happy with the performance.
Yeah, at times. Yeah, we got off to a good start, and then a little bit of, I suppose, what would I call it, a bit of casualness crept into our play. We were 5 points clear, missed a penalty, and all of a sudden we conceded 4 scores in a row. And it kind of happened a couple of times in the game when we got clear, we maybe switched off. So it's definitely something for us to work on, or at least focus in on for the next day, because yeah, you can't give other teams that opportunity that could really hurt you. So happy with the result, absolutely. We're on the road again. It's good to be back playing Championship hurling, and it's on to the next day now.
The calendar is a bit more defined now. That's a good thing for club players especially, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. There's a certainty to it now. Like we know, it's a 2-week cycle. We're going into now. So again, from even a player return perspective, you have another 2 weeks, and you can aim and plan for whatever dates they're hitting with the recovery and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really good, and like that certainty to us as well. It means training plans and everything. It's just definitely more appealing, especially you've got to consider from a player perspective here, because then they know as well, how it's going to play over a period of time as well. So absolutely, I think everyone prefers it. There's not too many complaints about it anyway.
What about you? It wasn't long ago you were playing with a lot of these guys, so how is it to be managing them?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's a steep learning curve as well, because first time as manager, you would have your ideas and philosophy about how you want to play and prepare a team, or what you think works, and then you have to look at the individuals you have and the team around you, and try to blend that into one thing. And I think, yeah, look, I'm enjoying it, and it's good to be playing games, like a championship games now, because you can do all the training you want for the summer and prepare. But once you get into the championship scenario, you can really start to see, are you making progress? Are you on the road? Are you better than you were last year? And so, yeah, it's a steep learning curve. It's interesting. Yeah, there's some decisions as well you have to make sometimes that are, friends and stuff involved. But yeah, look, that's what you take that on, and you have to just park that and do what's right for the team, and hopefully we can continue to do that.
Kenny Dalglish kind of did a similar thing, went straight from playing to managing, and guys who played with him said, you know what, as soon as he was the manager, he was the manager. In other words, if he had a tough call to make, he'd make it. How is that sitting with you, and how are you at those tough calls, and as you say, kind of talking to guys who are friends and guys who want game time? They wouldn't be in the squad if they didn't, and you're the one who was to tell them, well, maybe not this week.
Yeah, that was always going to be the most challenging aspect to it, but I think you got to park the individual or the personalities here and just go what's right for the team, and you got to stick to that. You have to look at it very objectively as well to figure out where you want to go, and again think of what's right for the team and what's right for the team at that particular time as well. So again, there's tough decisions to be made every week, and I'm sure as picking championship teams, and the further this goes on, those decisions will get tougher, Oisin. So yeah, that's definitely a bit of a challenge, but when you have to park the personal connection or the emotional connection to that, and just actually go, right, that's the right thing for the team, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah. And as we say, you're not long out of playing yourself. In fact, you still look like you could play. Is it hard for you when you get to a training session to switch to manager mode and to actually remember, oh no, I actually have to step back here and coach and give the orders, as opposed to dropping in on drills that you still probably would fancy yourself to do?
Yeah, I think it has to be a very clear line there, and you've got to stay in your lane as well. Just when you mention that, I don't miss playing from that perspective, so I don't get drawn into that thing. I'll step into this, or I just really keep to what we're trying to achieve, and also keep your distance from that perspective as well, from the players as well, to make sure that it's their arena. You're just trying to create that environment for them to develop and be better. And I think it's almost like getting out of their way as well. So I don't ever feel the need to want to get back on a pitch, and I definitely,
really,
I absolutely certain. Yeah.
And are you playing any bit of junior or anything?
Nothing. I don't know what that is. Maybe I played till I was 38, so I think I won't say I had enough of it, but I was content with that, and I didn't have any serious injuries to that effect, and I didn't want to put myself in that position either, and I just was I was okay with it. I kind of resolved myself to say, no, it's over now and on to the next chapter. So yeah, I thought I'd be terrible. I thought I'd be itching to get on the pitch, but I actually haven't been, and yeah, which I'm surprised at, actually.
I remember reading in Anthony Daly's book, he dropped down to keep playing and he got frustrated with the guys around him. Do you think that would be you if you tried to play at a lower level?
Oh, yeah.
Because you're so used to playing senior hurling with an elite team like Ballyboden.
Well, I've experienced that sense, because I got injured in 2015, I think. Was it 2015? And I played a few games at senior B level, and I was kind of getting frustrated with myself, and maybe even frustrated with people around me, and I was like, I'm not so sure about this, because maybe you demand more of yourself, and therefore then you demand more of people around you, and I felt, I think I'm being more disruptive than contributing at this stage. So I found that a real challenge, and then for that same reason, maybe that's why when I finished, I didn't want to drop back down a level and play, and maybe fear of injury and stuff like that. I was like, okay, I'm happy with my lot, but yeah, it's maybe that was kind of shaped, how things actually have played out up to now. I just really don't see myself being on the pitch again.
And finally, let's go back to the team itself. We saw tonight some of the names we know, and some names that people might not be so familiar with. There's a nice mix in there, isn't there?
Yeah, that, I suppose, didn't happen by accident, but it's last year, say, when in the county final, we got to a certain point in the game where I think we just lacked maybe that depth or that sense of, or maybe that the options, okay? And when we decided to take this over, it was a case of, right, well, what do we need to do? What's the first thing we need to address? We need to address that end of it. Like, we've guys going out the other end who are, in their 30s, let's say, to be fair to them, and if that's the nicest way I can say that. There's lads in their 30s, and we got to fill it from the bottom now, and try get lads and try get them in there and get them, like you saw someone like Shane Kennedy, Pierce Christie, Pierce is playing the Dublin 20s and stuff like that. But guys, maybe you might not be aware of John Maguire came in off the bench and stuff like that. We're trying to build him.
He justified those boots, didn't he? If you have those colour boots, you got to be good.
You got to win the ball. He was, absolutely, yeah. He's dodged the bullet with that one now. So, absolutely, yeah, look, and we're trying to get that blend. And again, that's the kind of mix we're trying to make. Like, we're trying to have an energetic game. We're trying to have the young fellas and also give them that experience, but we also need the stability of the older fellas, and we need their experience to carry us through those difficult moments like I just talked about earlier on, where we did drop off and we did get slack. And I guess that's our approach. If it's abundantly obvious, or I've just told you, but that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create, and hopefully we continue to do that. Like, as I said, there's names that weren't there tonight, and guys that have come back from injury, like Paul Ryan, significant operations earlier this year, and so it's good to see them back on the pitch as well. Yeah, they've work to do, but it's definitely a benefit, and that's why, again, this cycle of games, again, another 2 weeks, you can say, right, look, there's 20 minutes now. You can really focus in on the next 2 weeks to get to flesh that out a little bit more.
I'm just thinking how Liam Dunn, your old Wexford teammate, would have reacted when he saw a guy with those bright colour boots.
Yeah, he would definitely. He was a bit of an enforcer in his time, wasn't he? And yeah,
I mean, as a manager, I think we all know how he would have reacted on the pitch.
As a manager, probably the same.
Yeah. Okay, look, Malachy Travers, the relatively new manager of Ballyboden Saint Enda. It's nice to finally chat to you, because I've been commentating on you for years and watch you playing for years. I've never actually met you. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to Ballyboden, and thanks for joining us on the extratime.com Monday podcast.
Thanks, Oisin. Appreciate your time. Thanks you.
That's it for this week. We're back on Friday with more on the Republic of Ireland, the SSE Electricity League, and the Camogie and All Ireland Lady 3, 2 and 1. That's it for this week. We're back on Friday with more on the Republic of Ireland, the SSE Electricity League, and the Camogie and Footbal All Ireland finals. As always, you can contact me on @Oisin Langan, or you can get extra time generally on @Extra Time News. Until Friday, take care.